So after a long gap of not having new cars for a while, Mini just came back punching hard late last year. All these cars debuted almost at once. We are seeing a whole new range of Minis coming to the market, and the strategy is interesting because on the hatch you have the collaboration with Great Wall in China, and that means that the electric hatch is based on a shared platform with that brand. However, the regular Mini, if you will, we'll still call it that, the ICE version still uses the existing Mini's platform. It's heavily refreshed to sort of bring in the new styling and the new design language. So meet the new Cooper, and you will be forgiven for not thinking it's new. And that is intentional. Size-wise, things are almost the very same. And hey, let me remind you, that's also because this is more like a massive facelift really. Now that face gets the octagonal grille, and the rear has the new triangular Union Jack lights. The Countryman, on the other hand, has on the same platform both electric and ICE. You have the UK L2 platform, which also houses cars like the BMW X1, and this is the sort of new third generation of the Countryman. So there's lots to get excited about because both these cars are coming to India. And I just want to mention that while Mini has always been about being vibrant and being colorful, to use that word, there's one signature that's been brought across the range. It's this color that you see. They call it vibrant silver. It's kind of like a muted dull gold silver, and you see it on both the cars, though of course depending on trim you don't have to opt for it. Mini now has a strategy to use a new small EV platform shared with China's GWM for the E and SE electric hatches, and retains the UK L1 platform for the combustion engine model, the C and S. The petrol models come in 3 and 5-door versions. The EV is 3-door only. BMW Group India has already announced the electric Countryman and petrol hatch as launching on July 24th, but prices for all are expected to be competitive. So let's begin with the petrol hatch.
Still hard, still direct, still really connected to the road, and that's not surprising because it's kind of based on the previous car. It's more like a really heavy facelift, and so all the characteristics, all the good stuff that you identified with the previous Cooper hatch, very intact still. Very much still a Mini. The part to consider is how the EV drives. The steering feels a little exaggeratedly weighted right now. It is also really fat and chunky, but I guess that's more about getting used to.
The front end still feels a touch wayward, but otherwise the car is as much fun as before. Steering is heavy, like I said, but within the range of fun. There are 2 engines on offer. I am driving the larger 4-cylinder S variant, while the other variant has that smaller 3-cylinder unit.
You do sit nice and low, and everything from the driver position to how everything else is arranged around that is really effectively done. You feel comfortable and you feel very much in control.
The 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox works well to bring you enough torque to get the grunt that go-kart feel needs. Drive modes are called My Experiences and are what you're used to, but now also have some extras. There are themes to go with mood and not just performance. There's also head-up display at the top end.
So you see an augmented reality display now, even in the big round screen. So all the brands seem to be doing it. Why not Mini? Yeah, there's no way you will miss your turn when you see it come up like that, with a camera view and the actual direction you need to go in. Look at those arrows. For now, MINI is only bringing us the ICE or combustion engine version of the hatch. Let's see what happens later on, because at some point the importance of the electric cannot be lost.
Yes, India is opening to electric when it comes to the premium set. The last SE was sold out in our market, though with limited volume allocation.
So of course then I had to get myself into the SE, didn't I? And I did.
Yes, I got my hands on the all-new electric also. After all, this is the true all-new 4th generation.
It looks especially cute in this yellow with the white roof, isn't it? Well, that's the whole appeal of the MINI brand. So styling-wise, especially in the face, it totally maintains that MINI look. But there's been some criticism for the styling on this new generation at the rear. It's this area that tends to make the car look kind of tiny. It's kind of weird because it's actually longer marginally and wider than the outgoing generation. So visually, it just doesn't look as muscular and chunky as that car did. But otherwise, in terms of quality and finish, it's looking pretty good. Now, having driven it, I can vouch for that. The reason why there were so many questions is because this is that platform that's shared with Great Wall, GWM from China.
There are bigger changes inside, as you have probably been noticing.
If you really want the funky and the cool, come inside the cabin, because it's like nothing else on the market. It's not just about the layout, because you do still have these switches which look very much like a plain cockpit. That's kind of an inspiration or carryover from the previous generations. And it's nice how the car starts. Just makes this little electric sound, if you will. But the point is that it's just really well put together. It looks really nice. And I especially like the way that you have different textures and materials. The design is just like very different. Look at this texture on the steering wheel, for example, or this fabric-like material. It's actually a two-tone, and you can get that, of course, in different finishes. It uses recycled materials. So it's a recycled polyester. That's very interesting, easy to clean, I'm told. And then you've got this little band here, which even has stitching in 4 different colors. So it is funky, it's very different. The AC vents, everything is very, very different. And then you come to this big screen. I mean, wow. That is a huge amount of attention that goes straight there, because it's the round interface. We had that before, but it was always round and little squares and rectangles fitting into it. Now, the interface itself is round, and that's where a lot of focus or hard work went in, says MINI, because it's also taken a lot of the apps and turned them into a circular interface for this particular screen or usage on it. However, they've been clever on a few other things as well. Like when you go to Apple CarPlay, look at that. You still have a sort of a square box or a tile, but it's blurred out on the ends, and the same background continues, the same colors continue into the entire interface. So it still looks like it was designed for this screen, and that is really clever. It's smartly done. It's very easy to use. It's got great response. Can't wait to review this in greater detail. And then, of course, you've got things like the maps and the music and all of these functions. And then the different drive modes as well that I was showing you earlier. Look at that. Look at the graphics and look at the quality of those graphics. All really, really nice.
The rear seat is, well, not much, but it's a Mini. The 5-door option is still there though, which has a 42mm longer wheelbase, but that's only available on the Petrol.
Now, the obvious comparisons are between this and the ICE car, no doubt, but also between this and the previous SE, the previous electric version. And this is miles away from that car. And that's thanks to a bigger battery, a much more powerful, bigger motor, way more torque, a lot more power, but of course more weight too. Interestingly though, the higher weight contributes to the driving dynamics, which makes it a little bit different, of course, from the ICE counterpart. This car is also wider, a little bit taller, and a little bit longer than that ICE car. So it actually tends to dull out some of the, undulations on the road and things like that. So it makes the ride quality a little bit more refined from the point of view of people who buy a Mini and then crib about the hard ride quality. They'll actually find this really comfortable and really fun and really fast. You know what? Let me do that again. I'm going to put that into go-kart mode. All right. And now let's try that again. Shall we? Oh, yes. I will get used to this, baby, sure.
Spirited and fun, but lacking a little bit of soul, perhaps. For now, the SE is made only in China, but some production is moving to Oxford, expected here only when that happens. Okay, now finally let's get to the new Countryman. The Countryman looks good. The proportions also work well. Its wheelbase has increased by 22mm, overall length by 132mm. It's also wider and taller. The two-tone and those wheels on my test car really rock, don't they?
In the past, you'd be forgiven for thinking, hey, this is just, it's an iX1 that's just been sort of dolled up differently. Doesn't drive like that. Drives like its own car, and it still has that very hunkered down go-kart kind of feeling. The steering, the handling, very different. Yeah, I feel like I'm in a futuristic movie right now. But the cool part is that it drives like you want it to drive. So it's very precise. There's lots of ADAS functionality, and there's a whole lot going on in terms of the electronics, but none of it is intrusive. And I think the big focus remains fun. That's when you put it into go-kart mode. And that's how it sounds when you do that. Oh, yes, that's fun. It's a Mini, and so you see lots of quirky design on the inside, different colors, textures, and also some really cute sounds. That's the car starting up. There's lots of different drive modes, of course, and the sportier ones, you also get the little added e-sound. Like that. I have to say, we've come a really long way when it comes to electrics in general, and then certainly what BMW as a group has been doing. There's been lots of learnings, and there's been a whole lot of that being applied to the different kinds of vehicles of the portfolio.
The different experience modes, as you saw in the hatch, are also here. Go-kart, green, vivid, timeless, balance, personal, and trail. And they all have their own signature lighting, sounds, and graphic or light design. They help the car be more mini in a sense.
Depending on the variant, you still get range that's really comfortable, and there's lots of different options there. We'll wait and see what comes to India, of course. But to have a Countryman not feel sort of odd and feel more hunkered down, closer to the road, yeah, it's a good thing. I mean, it's not like the last car drove badly, but this one just drives better.
And there's the small detail that it's electric. Coming at a perfect time when you have EVs of this size starting to do well. This makes the positioning enticing, since Mini could go sub 60 lakhs and really set the cat amongst the pigeons. Don't expect the ICE version of the Countryman in this calendar year. What do you think of these new cars from Mini and their potential in India? Tell me in the comments below.